This is the Louie T Network.
Who else could it be? Me, Dormy, Louie T. Welcome to lockdown coverage week number 12 in the National Football League. Denver Broncos taking on the Oakland Raiders. And I'm not going to lie to you. If you've come here for a sensible discussion on Broncos Raiders and want to talk about the game and the outcome, this might not be the breakdown for you, man. I'm more fascinated with the fight. Okay, I don't really give a damn about the game. Now, granted, right? Raiders get the win, 21-14, and with that win, get to 5-6 on the season, tied with the Chargers, one game behind the Chiefs for first place. And remember, the Raiders beat the Chiefs already on a Thursday night in Oakland, so they own the season series thus far over the Chiefs. So theoretically, the Raiders are right where they need to be to try to win this division, as crazy as that sounds. But you're not at 500 yet. You know the rules to the game. Now, if by chance everyone's under 500 and this division is up for grabs, then we'll discuss it because we have no choice but to discuss it. But until you get to 500, we're not having any conversations about the Raiders winning the division or doing this or doing that, because this is still not a good Raiders football team. If you watch this game, that was not pretty by any stretch of the imagination. But who gives a damn about the game? This was the 3-7 versus 4-6. Okay? Let's talk about the fight. That's what everybody cares. That's what I care about. Let's talk about the fight. Now, I went and did some research. Now, I went back and I watched this fight on the actual game copy at least 10 times. Because I analyzed, and for those of you who don't know, once upon a time I wanted to be a lawyer. I'm into all of these crime drama type shows. My favorite show to watch is First 48. Man, let there be a bum-ass football game. You think I won't watch First 48 instead? I'm lying, okay? I watch football before I watch First 48. But let there be some college football on, or some garbage-ass NBA, or there's no football on in NFL in general, on at all. I will watch First 48 before I watch anything else. After the NFL, First 48 is next. All right? That's how much I love crime dramas and things of that nature. And that's reality television. Doesn't get much better than that. But anyway, I digress. I went into every aspect of this fight. Okay? This thing fascinated me. So, if you remember, and let me give you the backstory behind this. If you remember last year, last game of the season, Broncos, Raiders, Crabtree gets into it with Aqib Talib down the field. Aqib Talib snatches his chain off of his neck, goes to the sideline, is bragging about it. There's a close-up shot of him talking to his teammate, laughing, talking about how I took his chain, right? Of course, Crabtree has to hear about that from all his homeboys, from everybody telling him, damn, he took your chain. People probably killing him on Twitter and Instagram and all those things. So he had to hear about it all offseason, about how he got punked and bitched for his chain. And so all the my mama gave me that chain jokes and all of the red jokes from Friday and all, he heard all of that shit all offseason. And so the first time these two teams met, Crabtree didn't play. He was out with an injury. So he didn't get to exact a measure of revenge then. And it's always better to exact your revenge. And as we all know, revenge is a dish best served ice cold. And Michael Crabtree was cold-blooded. He was out for revenge. Revenge. He was out for revenge. And it's always better to do it at the crib. So it would have been nice the next time. Because, look, if a dude snatches your chain, that's on site. I see you on site. It's a fight. It's on site. It's not, all right, I might get him back. This isn't this is sort of like baseball, right? You know how baseball, if you do something, I hate baseball for this. Even though I love baseball, I hate baseball for the unwritten rules. You hit a home run and you run the bases too slow, or you stare at a guy, or they take something that you did as disrespect. Hell, you can just hit a home run, do everything right, and they just pissed off because you hit a home run. And the next time they see you on site, you getting hit, right? That's how it's supposed to be when somebody snatches your goddamn chain. You don't wait and for the right moment on site. The first time you line up against me, I'm going to punch you in your face. On site. I'm getting ejected. It's a matter of principle. I'm a grown-ass man. You don't do that bullshit to me. So, Krabs, in his mind, had to be thinking, I'm going to get this up, right? That had to be the mindset going at some point. Now, it wasn't on site for Krabs because when I went back and watched the tape, I'm thinking to myself, the first time 21 lines up across from him, he's going to go after his ass. I'm talking about, I'm going to act as if I'm coming to just stock block you, and then I'm coming in with a Bill Goldberg spear. I'm taking your ass down, and then I'm going postal with the slaps because I'm not breaking my hand. And I might dig inside the face mask, try to poke you in the eye. I'm doing some real grimy, gutter, nasty shit, right? But the first time they lined up, the very first snap of the play was a run, and Aqib was lined up across from him. He didn't do anything. So I'm like, hey, Krabs, what you doing, man? Right? But Krabs was out on a mission. So he didn't go after one. He went after both starting corners. So check this out. So I did my homework. I did my research. So if you remember, if you watch this game, and if you haven't, treat yourself. You only got to go into the first 10 minutes of this game, okay? Go watch the first 10 minutes of this game, the actual broadcast copy. First 10 minutes, and you'll see everything you need to see, and then you can get the hell out of there. So, one play before the fight on a 2nd and 10. They do a run. The Raiders do a run play. And Chris Harris Jr., at the end of that run, can't get up. And he's down, and nobody really knows why. And, no one's paying attention. Things happen on any given snap. Maybe he just turned his ankle, whatever. So he's down on the ground, and they're talking, and he gets up. The medical staff helps him up. And as he gets to his feet, he looks over to the Raiders bench, and he's cussing out somebody on the bench. That's a bitch-ass move. That was a cheap shot. That was a bitch-ass move. He's telling them, I'm going to get your ass. That was some real bitch shit you just did. And I'm like, who is he talking to? He was talking about Krabs. So, of course, me being the goddamn investigator that I am, I go back. I got to see who the hell did what. And as he's walking off the field, he tells Talib, hey, he need me, man. Get his ass. He need me. So Aqib says, all right, bro, I got you. So I go back, and sure enough, as Michael Crabtree is going to block Chris Harris Jr., he knees him in the balls, takes him out. So the next play, so Crabtree has a plan. This man has come in, and he's systematically going to break this Broncos defense down. I'm taking out Chris Harris Jr. first, and I'm going after the real target. Sort of like the DC sniper, which that's not funny. That's not for a joke. Okay, people died. However, he was shooting randoms just so he could shoot the one person that he actually wanted to shoot and make it look like it was an act of random violence when it was really him just trying to kill one person, but he shot other people so that it could just look like this was random. He went after Chris Harris Jr. first, and now on the next play, wouldn't you know it, he's lining up in front of Aqib Talib, the guy that he actually wants to get. So now, after he's already taken out Chris Harris Jr., one half of his plan already accomplished, he goes out and he stock blocks the hell out of Aqib Talib, pushes him all the way to the sideline, and you knew. And there's a report that just came out that Michael Crabtree taped his chain down. He's like, this N-word is not getting my chain this time. So I'm going to tuck my shit in like Red. I'm going to just go ahead and tuck mine in. Aqib said, no, give me that shit. So as he's blocking him, He takes his chain and he rips it off again. And Krabs says, no, you didn't rip my damn chain again. He takes him all the way to the sideline, drags him all the way to the sideline, throws him on the ground, and then tries to get on top of him, but Aqib Talib turns it over on him, rips his helmet off, and all hell breaks loose. All right? You get a couple of punches thrown. Then Krabs gets to his feet, tries to throw a couple more punches. They get squared up. And at this point, Aqib already snatched off Crabtree's helmet. So they're squared up. Aqib throws a vicious right cross that grazes. It doesn't connect, but it grazes the face of Michael Crabtree, who then retaliates with a right cross of his own, but actually gets inside the face mask and gets a piece of the eyeball and readjust the helmet. So Aqib has to readjust his helmet, and as he's trying to do so, Crabtree is looking to come in with another one. Here comes big number 92 in the way to stop another blow from coming in. So as they circle around, Crabtree and Aqib square up again, and Crabtree goes for the haymaker. He goes for the knockout blow, but he misses. But after missing, and you know those punches, when you throw them like that, they take a lot of energy out of you. He was gassed. But he threw one more last shot in there at the end, and he got it right across the helmet. And then they pulled him apart. Holton comes in, grabs Aqib Talib. They separate. They walk Crabtree off to the sideline. But if you weren't paying attention, you missed another brouhaha on the sidelines. Shane Ray gets into it with, I'm trying to think of the offensive lineman that got thrown out of the game. Gabe Jackson. Shane Ray and Gabe Jackson go at it. I'm talking about a three-piece combo. Bow, bow, bow. And Gabe Jackson throws him to the ground. They're into it. They're on the ground going at it. That was a nasty one as well. Gabe Jackson actually knocked the referee down. It got ugly. That's why he got thrown out of the game, because he hit the official. You could easily see Shane Ray get suspended. You could see Gabe Jackson. I don't think he will, because he got thrown out of the game. But Shane Ray could get a game. Aqib Talib and Krabs could get a game. Generally, the NFL doesn't like to suspend guys who get a game or who get thrown out of a game. But this might be the exception to the rule, because it was such a brawl and an out-of-hand matter that they may feel like they need to step in and to send a message to the rest of the league and say, hey, we're not condoning this. You guys sit down an extra game and give me your check too. So we'll see how the NFL decides to handle this. But, man, I tell you what, that was some good theater. You know, the game came second to that fight. And there's a lot of backstory to that. Krabs went in with a mission, man. He got Chris Harris Jr. first, turned around, tried to get him some Aqib Talib. He rips the chain off again. And God damn it, I know Krabs is pissed because he thought he had a plan, a foolproof plan to not get his chain snatched off. He said, man, I'm going to just tuck mine in this time. And Aqib still got his hands on the chain and ripped it off his neck. So, my grandmama gave me that chain. Part 2 was outstanding. And much like Canelo and Golovkin, I pay to see part 2 of that. I pay to see part 2. And these two teams will play each other twice more next year. Don't think this shit is over with. Aqib Talib is crazy enough that this shit isn't over with. He was still looking to fight when it was all said and done. When Krabs was off on the sideline, he was still walking towards the Raiders sideline. This shit isn't over. It's not done. So I'll pay to see part 3 of my grandmama gave me that chain, but actually part 2 of the actual fight, I'll pay to see part 2. This was actually great theater. Now the game itself was garbage. I don't give a damn about the game. The fight, I'll pay to see some of that. That was some good action right there. But the Raiders win the game 21-14. Marshawn Lynch got the most carries he's gotten all season long. And I think if you're a Raiders fan, that's what you were looking for from Marshawn Lynch when you got him was, hey, even if you're not productive, let's give it to him 25 times and see what happens. And it was a nasty, wet day in Oakland, and they wore down that Broncos defense, and they got the win. Brings them within a game of 500 again. Get to 500, and then we can discuss. And you should be able to do that next week against the Giants at home. You should be able to get back to 500, and then we can discuss you potentially winning the division and making the playoffs and all of those things. We can have that discussion next week. Get back to 500. For the Broncos, Paxton Lynch injured himself. He was crying on the sidelines. I don't know the severity of his injury, but if you're crying, that leads me to believe that it's something serious. Or maybe he was just crying because I finally got my opportunity and I get injured and I don't even get to finish the game. I don't know what it was, but Trevor Siemian came in, threw 2 touchdown passes at the end, made it a much more close game than what it really was. This was 21-0 at one point. Siemian comes in, throws 2 touchdown passes. That's what the Broncos were expecting from him when he started, was him coming in and making plays like he did late in this ball game and not throwing the football all over the field and turning it over like a madman. But in any event, too little, too late for the Broncos. They lose this game 21-14. 7 straight losses for the Broncos. They dropped it 3-8. Raiders get the win. At the end, if they would have punted to the Denver Broncos again, this game might have gotten tied. But Derek Carr throws up a prayer, and it's answered by Cordero Patterson to seal this game. And so it just wasn't pretty by any stretch of the imagination. But it was a win nonetheless, which is all you're looking for at this point to try to get back to 500. And so the Raiders get the win. But I know enough of that. You guys don't give a damn about the game. You care about the fight. Let's talk about the fight. So Vincent Coe says, what's crazy is, according to Bleacher Report, Crabtree actually taped his chain to himself before fighting Talib, but Talib still snatched it, though. Yeah, he did. And I mentioned that already. And Smith Raider says Crabtree did what needed to be done. I totally agree. As a man, you got to do that. You can't allow somebody to punk you like that and get away with it and think it's okay. He needed to get ejected. You know how in basketball you get technical fouls as a coach sometimes, or as a manager in baseball, you get thrown out of a game just off of principle. You're like, okay, that was a bad call. My team needs to see me standing up for them, so I'm going to get ejected out of this game. Sometimes you have to do things, even though it may be to the detriment of your team, you have to do things off of principle, okay? Just to let everybody else know this is how things work around here, all right? Crabtree had to get thrown out of the game. He had to stick up for himself. He had to fight Aqib Talib. He couldn't come into this game meekly and just go over there and block him and act as if that man didn't snatch your chain off your neck the last time y'all played against each other. He had to go out there and show him, I ain't no bitch about mine. You ain't gonna be snatching my shit off my neck and thinking that shit is cool and you gonna get away with it. We gonna fight. Even if you don't want to fight, you know Aqib Talib is all about that life. So you knew this was gonna be a fight. But shout out to Krabs for doing what needed to be done. Definitely. Stevie D says, can't believe my Raiders are still in the AFC West race. I don't think we're going to win because we're playing like trash. I don't think you're going to win either, but hey, if you would have asked that same question a month ago, are the Raiders still in it? I would have told you no, and I wouldn't have even given you an explanation. I would have told you just go away. So the fact that you're a game out of first place at this point of the season, after the way the Chiefs started this year off, you got to feel good about your chances if you're a Raiders fan. Xavier Rose says, Broncos went all around the world in search of a starting quarterback to realize that their best option is still Trevor. I think I still agree with that, even though he may not be good enough to do it. He's still probably the best they've got. But in any event, Raiders get the win 21-14. Get to 5-6 on the season. Got the Giants at home next week. That should allow them to get back to 500 at 6-6. Then we can have a realistic conversation about them trying to steal this division away from the Chiefs, who are just free-falling right now. Chargers, though, are the team that I'm looking at and saying they're the most dangerous team. They've already beaten the Raiders once. I think that's the team that the Chiefs should really be afraid of. But this Raiders team already beat the Chiefs, something that the Chargers haven't done. So that division is a mess. We'll see how everything sorts out next week, and we'll start to get a clearer picture, clearer view of things as the next couple of weeks unfold and these teams start playing each other, because they all have to play each other once more. Raiders have to play the Chargers. Raiders have to play the Chiefs once more. Chargers have to play the Raiders. Chargers have to play the Chiefs once more. So all of this will be resolved at season's end when it's all said and done. But in any event, the Raiders avoid the sweep and beat the Denver Broncos 21-14. Broncos drop to 3-8 on the season and have lost their 7th straight with this L at the hands of the Raiders. That's going to do it for your man Louie T here on Lockdown Coverage. Monday Night Football, I'm not looking forward to it, but then again, I wasn't looking forward to Sunday Night Football, and it turned out to be a great game. I don't think this is going to be that, though. I think this is going to be straight trash, exactly what I expect. Defensive struggle that the Ravens will win, but nonetheless, we'll watch it, and then we'll break it down after it's done here on Monday Night Football Overtime. I'll see you for the conclusion of Ravens and Texans. Until then, enjoy the game. I'm your man Louie T, signing off. Come back and join me here after that game is done. Enjoy it.